Welcome to episode 4 of the Hodgepodge Podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we'll be talking about a hodgepodge of topics from movies, TV, music, and other pop culture events.
And this week we'll be discussing Ron Howard's new movie, Rush.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt's writing and directorial debut, Don Jon.
You can reach us at the Hodgepodge Podcast at gmail.com, or over at our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or over at my review blog, dougreviews.blogspot.com. So let's get this started. The first movie we'll be talking about is Ron Howard's new racing movie, Rush, which stars Thor, Chris Hemsworth, and Daniel Bruhl, who audiences remember from Inglourious Basterds. He was the German officer who had a crush on what's-her-face. So
indeed, the wonderful what's-her-face.
And this movie is based on true events. It's based on this true story, the rivalry in Formula One racing between drivers James Hunt, who is that's who Hemsworth plays, right? That's Thor, and Niki Lauda, who that's who Bruhl plays, and basically. We're not giving anything away, but in the trailer you see that they have a rivalry, and there's an accident during one of the races where Lauda didn't feel that it should be racing because of the conditions. He gets into a horrible accident and is burned horribly. And then the rest of the movie basically follows his recovery and the rest of their rivalry to the end of that season.
That's right. And again, this is based on true events, so this was a actual real racing rivalry that was huge in Formula One back in the mid '70s.
Yeah. The main years.
That's when this takes place, right? This takes place around the 1976 racing season.
Right. That's the main. That's the main year. The key year is '76. The movie also traces parts of their lives. You know, it's a biopic for both of the characters. I feel it's really more about Lauda's character than it is about Hunt.
It really is. Yeah, they definitely focus more on Lauda, and probably rightfully so. He has the more interesting story of the two.
Right. You wouldn't know that from the marketing materials, though. You know, basically the marketing materials are Thor in a car.
Well, right. I mean, Hemsworth is the name here.
Right.
That's what they're using to try to sell the movie. Him and just Ron Howard.
Right.
But Bruhl does the best work in the film.
Yeah.
He's got and to be fair, I mean he's got the most to work with. I mean, I think.
Yeah.
But I thought the movie was fairly solid. I was a little disappointed, I guess, in not so much the acting, and I don't even know what to blame it on, but I was just expecting something more thrilling.
Right.
And it's not anything's fault because the story is what it is, right? But not to give anything away, but I thought it was pretty anticlimactic as far as the end kind of plays out, even though it's, that's what happens. I just and again they focus on basically the main focus is strictly on the racing and not so much the characters, right? So it is. I guess I guess I should say it's they one-note characters is what they kind of pigeon them into.
They definitely are. They're definitely I don't want to say stereotypes, but they're definitely pigeonholed into these roles. Basically, Hunt is the Lothario party boy, party boy, and Lauda is basically an arrogant prick who is very
mathematical in the way he races versus Hunt's character who is just balls to the wall racer. He's just a racer pure at heart, whereas Lauda's character, he basically looks at it as a job that he's good at,
right?
And he's
very analytical,
minimize the risk to that job,
right.
Which is great. But my problem with that is that's literally all the movie lets them play.
Yeah, there is late in the movie, there's 2 scenes, one for each of them, where they kind of break out of that, like I said, that pigeonhole that they put them in, but that's it. And then, as we were talking about, at the end,
and only for brief moments,
right?
Not even like it's not even like they break out of it. Then they're like, oh no.
But Lauda's is more central to the plot.
Very true.
We won't give anything away, but but at the end, they kind of reinforce their roles basically as the party boy and Mr. Stick in the Mud, and they basically reinforce it. So it's from a narrative point of view, the movie for me was a disappointment in that. However, it, like you said, it is a solid movie. It's very well done. I mean, it's Ron Howard. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, exactly. I don't want to take anything away from the movie. I'm just not saying it was, the highest of caliber, right? I mean, it's a fine movie to go see. It just, to be honest, I just thought I was expecting more from it in terms of whether it be a thrill ride, more thrilling, more gripping on thrilling type of racing, or like you said, from the narrative point of view, getting to know a little bit more about these guys. Yeah,
because the beginning it's kind of light on the details when it starts documenting their rivalry and their lives, basically leading up to this 1976, which was the main year where they had the tensest moments of their rivalry, I guess. And that's when you'll meet, if you watch the trailer, Olivia Wilde's in it. She plays Hunt's wife, but she's really not in it that much. No. Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones is in it, but she's briefly in the beginning. But she's in it more than I thought she was going to be in it. Right. I thought she was going to be in that one scene and then be out, but she's actually in a couple scenes. The real female lead in this one is Lauda's wife, who's played by Alexandra Maria Lara. I think I've seen her in stuff before, but she's not very well known. She's not as well known as Olivia Wilde.
I'm not sure she's been in any American or U.S. based stuff, but she's been around for a little bit.
Yeah, but she was good. I mean, she was really good in the part. Gorgeous. I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous too. But really, that's all it is. It's really just them and the racing, and the racing scenes are great. I mean, I thought the racing scenes were pretty thrilling.
Yeah. The mechanics of how they're set up, the racing scenes are, but it's more the end of the payoff,
right?
Like you know what I mean,
right?
That seems to have been missing, and for a movie that's, I believe it's over 2 hours. For a movie that's
it's just over 2 hours.
For a movie that's that long, I feel, dare I say, that a lot of the pieces were rushed. I mean, for a movie that's that long, the narrative, the character development was where you could have taken it, a little further. They didn't.
Right.
Some of the racing they probably could have done a little more with. Although, to be fair, that's probably, I would prefer it to have been more about the characters and just have as much racing as they did there. I thought I thought the balance of that was okay, actually. Mm-hmm. But it's like you alluded to towards the end when they kind of have their epiphany conversation with each other, if you want to call it that. And you basically, all you get out of that is that, okay, these two guys from different sides of the fence agree to respect each other,
right?
But they don't really, they come to terms with who each other are, right? And kind of, but they don't really grow that much. Basically, it comes down to, I wish I could be more like that, and I wish I could be more like him, And then they kind of laugh a little bit, and then I mean that's kind of,
and then it ends like Happy Days,
cartoonish,
because it's Ron Howard. I agree. It's good. I think in the end, I might have liked it just a little bit more than you did, but we're kind of on the same page.
But yeah, for all the negatives I'm giving it here, it is still a good movie. Mm-hmm. I'd recommend it. Mm. I just probably had hyped it up a little in my head.
Yeah. To me, it felt like it might have been better as almost like a documentary. If like HBO had done like a story about these two guys, and like they did with like Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe,
right? The 24/7 series that they did, or whatever. This would have. That's a really good point. I would agree with that. This would make a better documentary style than it would have a motion picture, even though the motion picture was fine.
Yeah.
And I will say this. I noticed this right off the bat in the first race that they come to, maybe not the first race, but one of the first big races that they entered together. Ron Howard chooses the song "Give Me Some Lovin'" to play. Well, I don't know if you realize that or not, but that song was also featured in Scott's Days of Thunder.
Oh yeah,
in the '90s, and all I could think was, I'm pretty sure that was Ron Howard giving a big fuck you to Days of Thunder, saying this is a real racing movie. NASCAR Formula One is racing.
It's possible.
I mean, of all the songs to choose, I'm not saying Ron Howard. I mean,
right.
The sound editor, whoever. Of all the songs to choose, there's no way that was a coincidence.
Yeah.
I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I will say I did like one aspect of the movie. I really did like is I like when they have stories about sports, but when it is like two competitors who really are at the top of their game. Like there's always like when you look at a lot of quote unquote rivalries these days, it's like, oh, these two teams are rivals, but there's one that's usually like far superior, and it's like this other team's just kind of like, woo, we're gonna get a puncher's chance, you know. In golf, a lot. I mean, I know you don't watch golf, but in a lot of golf,
there's a reason for that.
But in golf, like it's funny because in the ads for golf, they always set up the tournaments always like, oh, it's gonna be Tiger and Phil, and like those guys, like, I mean, not that they're bad players, obviously not, but it's like when you get to like the last day of the tournament, those guys might not even be in the freaking mix.
Correct, right.
So it's like with racing, it kind of lends itself to that, where it was nice to see that. I would say even in NASCAR, there's a lot of names out there that people know, but they're not necessarily going to be the guys who are.
It's true.
At the end.
For Formula One, especially, not so much NASCAR, because in Formula One you only have like 14 to 16 drivers out there in any given race. NASCAR you got 48, 45.
Yeah.
But so in Formula One racing, honestly, you always have only the 2 or 3 people that are in the top of their game, whether it be that season or longer, a longer span of time. And to be honest, in this movie, they play up the Hunt Lauda rivalry because it was huge. But in terms of ability, I mean, they don't spell it out in the movie, although they do give you some race wins. You know, Lauda's clearly, he's won more races, and he's probably the better driver.
Oh yeah. You definitely get that.
Clearly, you can sense that, and they attribute that to James Hunt's Wild Boy style of racing, where he's going to wreck more.
Right.
But it's probably not really the case.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's also the thing that's weird about it is that there's really it's not like something like, say, Major League, which was complete fiction, or something like that, where you have
what?
I'm sorry,
Wild Thing.
I'm sorry, Charlie Sheen did not play baseball, but in like movies like that, where they obviously design it, where you're going to have a hero and a villain, there really is no one to root for in this movie.
Both these characters are pretty equally. Their traits are both equally disgusting and likable. Like they both have these, this kind of a dual factor personality where, part of them you like and part of them you don't like. So you're right. There's certainly no true hero or villain here.
Right.
It's just the story of two racers, which I actually like that because that's the way it is in real life. You don't really have villains. So I like that they didn't try to play up one as being the evil person.
But I also like, but generally what they would do is, they never really position anybody to root for either. It's not like you're watching. It's not like you're watching and saying, "Ooh, I hope Thor beats that guy," or "I hope the other guy wins." Usually, what they'll end up doing is like, because Lauda is such a superior racer, they would probably set up the underdog story for Thor, but they don't.
Oh, that's good. They do a good job of walking that.
And keep in mind that when we do review Thor: The Dark World, I will be referring to Thor as James Hunt in that review.
That's a good call.
But never by his real name.
That's a good call. Yeah.
But let's talk about a little bit about the acting. We did a little bit already. Hemsworth does a good job as the party boy.
And I can't imagine anyone playing it better. I think it seems like it's probably a lot of who he really is in there.
Far more likable than his brother was in, say, Paranoia, like we saw this summer,
or anything.
Brule was great.
For me, he stole the show. He
was
really good. I was impressed for his first major role.
He's been in stuff, but
he's been in a couple things in Inglourious Basterds, but that was more of a small part of an ensemble cast, whereas this is really focusing on him.
He's also going to be in The Fifth Estate later this fall.
Julian Assange movie. Yeah.
Right, the WikiLeaks movie. Olivia Wilde was really good. I mean, her British accent was good. I mean, I never really... I
never mind looking at Olivia
And of
Wilde.
course, never mind looking at her. And as I mentioned, Alexandra Lara as Lauda's wife. She was great. She was really good.
Yep.
Really conveyed a lot of the concerns she had about his job and then what happened after the fact when he got into the accident. And those scenes are, oh my god, the scenes in the hospital are crazy. Like I was like, I can't look at this.
It's a good transition here into that little piece of it, simply because it was. You're like, oh, the whole time you're just kind of like wincing.
Right.
But at the same time, that's one of those pieces I thought was rushed.
Oh, yeah,
the whole
you think
recovery thing.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, it only was a couple weeks. I mean, he
wasn't out of it for long.
It was very quick, but I wanted to see more of what he had to go through.
Right.
Like, that's probably what I thought more of the movie was going to be about.
Right.
Given that I didn't know a whole lot about this backstory. Right. Other than they had a rivalry and that Lauda was hurt. I thought it was going to be more of a, I spend months recuperating and then, then I'm back. But it really wasn't that
like a Rocky type thing.
But it wasn't that at all, which was fine.
Yeah.
But that's probably more of where my head was at when I went to see it.
Yeah. With movies like this, it's hard to, it's kind of unfair to apply the narrative structure because it is what it is.
That's exactly
what
why
happened happened.
That's exactly why I put it that way. That it's not, you can't fault one thing because this is what happened.
Right, but then again, you also don't know what they cut out and what they decided to mask and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're gonna eventually end up with a Queen movie that's rated PG and doesn't have
Sacha Baron Cohen.
But
thanks, Queen.
Yeah, but that's another story for another time. But overall, Rush,
good performances, solid movie with a nonfiction plot. I mean, Ron Howard doing his thing,
right?
At per usual.
Basically,
solid movie.
Basically, what we're saying is, if you're waiting until next week to see this, just go see Gravity instead, because that comes out next week.
Yeah, yeah. If it's on your list, go see it.
Right.
But I'm not saying it's anything to rush out to.
Oh, boo!
Can't get enough puns in there about that.
No, you can't.
But now let's switch gears a little bit here.
Switch gears.
I can't help it with the racing puns. We're going to talk about Don Jon.
Yes.
Which, as mentioned at the top of the show, is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's directorial debut as well as his writing debut for movies here. Yeah. And right off the bat, I'll go ahead and say I really liked it.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. It's a
So let's talk a little bit what it's about.
Right.
The movie is about your typical Jersey boy.
Well, he's not typical. I mean, I'm from Jersey.
Like I said. How about this? Stereotypical Jersey boy.
Yes. He's basically the situation from Jersey Shore.
Exactly right. Who, if you've seen the commercials, you know what he's into.
Yeah.
He's into his gym, his pad, his ride,
his church,
his family, his boys, his girls,
and his porn.
And that is really the glue that sticks this movie together, if you will. Yeah, I went there.
That's awful.
It's around this guy and his battle with relationships, his family, kind of what society wants people to be versus who they really are, kind of deal.
Yeah.
I'm kind of baby stepping around a lot of this because I don't want to give a lot away.
Right.
Because one of the things I really enjoyed about this movie was it being something different than I thought it was going to be going in.
Yeah. You think when you walk in, you think it's just going to be about this guy who's addicted to porn and he's just trying to bang chicks, and it is about that.
Fluffy comedy about that,
and it is about that in the beginning,
but a lot more poignant.
But it's a lot more heartfelt. It's hilarious. I mean, it's really, really funny.
Very funny.
And it's really sexy. I mean, there's a lot of
You wouldn't be referring to Scarlett Johansson, would you?
Yeah, maybe. She is in the movie. It's in the trailer too. They call her a dime, which means she's a 10.
10. Yeah.
And in this movie, whoo boy, she is. I mean, she looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But but is she all that she appears to be?
Let you figure that one out when you see it.
Yeah, but so yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays Don Jon. John. They call him Don Jon.
Right. He's the Don.
Yeah.
Of.
And
getting women, basically.
Literally, he has his routine, like Dirty A said, and you come to realize that it's not just a routine. He is basically OCD.
Absolutely.
He is a clean freak in his apartment, and
that's right for you ladies out there. The man is a clean freak,
and he has his thing, and the porn is part of that.
Which is the funny scene when he wants to buy a Swiffer.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great scene.
Great scene.
It was a weird scene, though.
It was...
Because the way that she reacts is kind of strange. And
but that's the idea, right?
Right.
Anyway, that's one of many great scenes here.
Yes. But it's really good. And, again, Scarlett Johansson is... she totally captures the quote-unquote Jersey girl stereotype. She is...
Great voice work.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she put on the accent and everything. But, you find as the movie goes on that she's just as damaged as he is. And...
yeah. So the underlying theme of the movie is love and society's perception of love.
Right.
So you have on one end of the spectrum, you have Hollywood's made-up version of love, hunky-dory, happy endings. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have the dirty, non-emotional porn type of love. And
screwing for screwing's sake.
Yeah, and so, but what you have here is a battle of people come to terms with, what love really is.
Which is somewhere in the middle.
Which is somewhere in the middle. More towards the porn side, hopefully. But, no.
Well, the other thing is, too, is that something that he says a couple times throughout the movie is that real sex for him doesn't, it can't equal what he gets out of porn.
That's right,
and that is, he has a point when he says that because reality is never going to live up to what the fantasy is. His problem is that he has to get past the fantasy.
Right.
And figure out, what's good about real.
In real life, every screw always ends with some kind of mundane conversation. You can't just press stop.
That's true. But overall, it's a great movie. It's really, really funny.
My only gripe in this movie, I didn't get to see the promised 70s bush porn that's referenced a few times. Very, very disappointing, folks. Very disappointing.
All the actors are great. I'm just going to skip what he said there. All the actors are great. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, really good in the role.
Yep.
His character has a full arc, and you can even, we were talking about it a little bit beforehand, that you can kind of see what's coming up, but even when it does come up, it's still gratifying. It's not like, I saw that coming from a mile away. It's like nothing is totally telegraphed, but this is there's no real big surprises in this movie.
No, and it's funny because his changes, or even seen physically, different hairstyles.
Yeah.
So they kind of transition him physically as well as, and really this is who the movie's about.
Right.
Scarlett Johansson serves as a transportation mechanism to get him from one place to another, kind of.
Right.
Well, her and many other people.
Right.
But so the movie is obviously about him. But he does a great job. I was really impressed with his work, especially given that he did the trifecta here.
Yeah.
Directed, wrote, and starred. So.
Yeah. It was a great first effort.
And then moving on, Scarlett Johansson, we already talked about.
She was great.
She did. A lot of the more smaller ensemble cast members did great.
Yeah, Tony Danza plays John Sr., his father.
Spot on.
And he is a lech, but he's he's great.
These were my favorite scenes, were the dinner scenes where they all got together.
Yeah.
They were
and
great.
and a lot of people, I think I've read in some reviews that people are like, oh, it's repetitive. But again, that goes back to his OCD thing, where it's like that is his routine.
It's the routine, right? Right. It's repetitive because this is his life and this is what he does. But I thought it was seamless. I thought it worked great.
Brie Larson plays his sister.
Don't give anything away there, but
yeah,
she's great.
She's great. She's great. And Glenn Headley plays his mother.
Mom.
Rob Brown and Jeremy Luke play his buddies.
Best buds at the club.
Yeah, and there's some good scenes with them, some funny scenes with them.
Yeah, and there's a nice poignant scene actually in his apartment.
Yeah,
where,
with Rob Brown. Yeah, where he comes over at one point to find out what's up with him.
Which still turns funny because that's what happens in real life.
Exactly.
That's how dudes respond to each other.
Right.
To get to a serious conversation, you play it soft.
Right.
Soft. Play it soft.
Oh, God damn!
I can't stop it. Cannot stop.
And then Julianne Moore is also in it. You may see her, and she's basically a. Scarlett Johansson talks him into taking a class, and he meets Julianne Moore at the class, and they become friends.
She serves,
unlikely friends.
She serves as his art.
Right.
Unlikely friends, I'd say. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you thought that was a little.
Yeah, I thought that the way that they met, their friendship seemed a little forced to me in the beginning. I didn't have a problem with the friendship and where it goes,
so
but
I don't. How they connected.
It's the method how they connected. It just seemed a little like it was a little too. It felt a little tacked on to me.
Okay. Mark it, folks. This is maybe the first time where Doug and I really disagree on something here, because I really wholeheartedly disagree with that. I respect your opinion on that, Doug, but I think honestly, this is true to form on how not to get into it, but how someone like her character. Would respond to someone and try to befriend them, if you will.
Right.
I didn't think it was forced. I think it's more natural than people would admit. And this is again, I'm walking on eggshells, trying not to give too much away here. But
right.
I thought it was pretty natural.
Okay.
And it was believable to me, and I thought it was very sentimental, and it gets very sentimental. Not to give too much away there. And culminates at the end to in what's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, it's really good, highly recommended.
Yeah, go. This is one to make sure you get off your asses and go out and see.
Yeah, if you're going to pick between the two we talked about today, clearly Don Jon is the winner.
Yeah.
But Rush will probably end up making more money this weekend, unfortunately.
It's more marketable.
It is, yeah. But Don Jon is a great movie. I can't wait to see what else he does after this.
I'm impressed. I never would have expected this from him.
I mean, because I like him as an actor in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he got cast in The Dark Knight Rises, I was like, oh, cool. And then, he was great in Inception, and Looper was a great movie last
Looper
year.
was a thinker.
Yeah, that was
more of a thinker than I thought. Oh, yeah, I mean, it was. I did not. I thought it was just going to be your typical action movie, and it was so much more.
And guys, if you're listening, Scarlett Johansson is quite sexy in this film, so you probably do want to go just to see her.
And again, it's about porn, so you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Might see some boobies.
Spoiler alert, you don't.
Well, hers.
Right.
But definitely go see Don Jon. And we were talking before the podcast. Should we throw in any extra movies? And
of course, the answer to that is yes.
Yes, of course, we should. But we're talking about porn. We're talking about Julianne Moore. Why not talk about Boogie Nights?
It's a seamless transition, folks. Why would you not talk about Boogie Nights when you enter the realm of porn and movies?
Yeah,
this is the penultimate movie.
That's the one you
to talk about.
Short of actually going straight to porn, it's Boogie Nights.
I quote this movie way too much.
Yeah.
I know every scene in this movie. Love the movie. Thought the whole thing's just spot on. Every scene in there is well thought out and has meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a movie that's 2.5 hours long. So
it's long.
It's a long movie. But Boogie Nights is just right up there for me. Fantastic.
Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson, fantastic director. He also did There Will Be Blood. He recently just did The Master. With Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's also in Boogie Nights, one of his early roles.
And
Scotty. And if you don't know Boogie Nights, the movie follows Mark Wahlberg, and this was his first major role.
This was his first big one.
Yeah.
He was certainly
transitioning, and actually that's another connection, because if you've seen the trailer for Don Jon gets caught singing Marky
Good
Mark,
Vibrations,
and I mean it just lends itself.
6 degrees of Boogie Nights.
It just lends itself.
Yeah.
But basically, Mark Wahlberg plays essentially John Holmes, the porno actor John Holmes. It's
Dirk Diggler.
Dirk Diggler. He's it's kind of like a sort of telling the story of John Holmes, sort of.
Yeah, it's a fictitious account of this porn actor
and how he goes, from unknown to porno superstar.
Stardom.
Yeah, cock stardom. And there's and
his buddy, played by the
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly, just fan. There's no better, and I say this with all due respect, because I also truly believe that he does well as a front man as well.
Yeah,
there's no better sideman than John C. Reilly.
Oh, he's the best.
I mean, he makes everything better, and he's always funny. He can turn on the serious when he needs to, but in this one, he's just full on idiotic, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, he's great. Burt Reynolds was nominated for an Oscar. Probably should have won.
He hands down should have won that year.
He's the Jack Horner, the director, who basically becomes a father figure. And that's what was really interesting about Boogie Nights, was that this ensemble of porno actors becomes
the family. It's a porn family. You're in this quote unquote seedy world of porn, but they all have this.
They're a better family.
They're a family, that they all stick together, and obviously you watch it all unravel.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a family movie.
Not really,
no,
they're a better family to him than his own family.
Yeah, they accept him. Right.
And Julianne Moore, who we mentioned, which was the bridge to get to this, she plays Amber Waves, basically Burt Reynolds' girlfriend, I guess.
No, they're married.
Oh, they were married in that movie? I didn't remember if they said they were married or not. And she's like the mom in the family. Heather Graham is Roller Girl, who is a great porn star who never takes her skates off. Don Cheadle is in it.
Awesome.
And my all-star...
Bucky, I can't remember his porn name.
Bucky
something.
Buck.
Just Buck.
Yeah, it's Buck. Buck Swoop.
Buck Swoop. There you go. Come on down to Buck's Stereo World.
You've also got... God, there's so many people in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's a name. It's a cast that goes on and on.
Haven't even touched William H. Macy.
No,
he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's got some great.
He has some great scenes. But of course, my movie all-star of all time is in this, Luis Guzman. Who
you do love some Luis Guzman.
I love Luis Guzman. Anything he's in, he's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's kind of he's a sideman in this one. In that. He just kind of hangs around them a lot, and he keeps wanting to try to get in the movies business, but he's a club. He manages a club, and then later owns one of his own. But he's great.
Yeah,
it's the movie itself has
really,
so many great one-liners and scenes that I could go on and on.
It's really well made movie. It's a modern classic basically. And in society, who would think you'd say that about a movie about porn, the porno industry, basically.
It's the same way about Don Jon, right?
Yeah.
It's society versus reality, right? Mm-hmm. And judgment of the industry, which is something we didn't talk about Don Jon that you mentioned earlier. Was the religious undertones to that movie?
Yeah, they kind of really with Don Jon, there's really it's very subtle, but they really take a swipe at religion and how Don Jon goes to confession every week. And the running joke is his total of how many times he's...
no matter what he does that week to better himself.
Right. But his running total of how many times a week he jerks off to porn, it's ridiculous. But that's the running joke.
That's
but
right.
But then
I only jerked off 17 times this week.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But then no matter what he does... The church
it's always the same amount.
It's always the same punishment.
There's no spectrum.
Basically.
There's no spectrum. The church sees no spectrum on it. It's you do or you don't.
And then when he tries to question it, they basically shut the confessional window on him. And so it's a nice little dig at religion. But it's one of several little things in that movie that when you really think about it, they really make you think. And I mean, like I said, I mean, I keep on bringing up the OCD thing, but it really is a great movie about mental illness, because that's what OCD is. I mean, it's it kind of reminds me a little bit in that regard, a little bit like Silver Linings Playbook.
Different illness.
Different illness, but it was how it dealt with it, just the way it dealt with it. It was
Doug, we've gone way off topic here. Boogie Nights.
Oh yes, sorry. Yes,
come on. Sorry. Love the Boogie Nights. No, but if you need a movie that you haven't seen yet and you want to see a great ensemble cast,
right?
On that's you could just go rent. Boogie Nights is just amazing.
You can't go wrong with Boogie Nights.
It's crude.
Oh yeah. Make sure the kids are not in the house because it's in your face.
Dirk Diggler's ready to fuck, folks. He's ready to fuck. His cock is ready.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
P.S.
In any state, he's ready to fuck.
P.S. This episode is not safe for work. In case you haven't guessed by now.
Yeah. Well.
But
I guess I just blew my wad on that one.
Oh my god. So anyway, so we're saying Rush. Go see Rush, but
don't rush out for it.
But don't rush out to go see it. Don Jon is a must see.
Yep.
And if you're sitting at home and you want to watch porn but not watch porn and want to know more about the business, get Boogie Nights. It's a feel good movie.
It's a feel good movie about feeling good.
And that'll do it. That'll do it for this episode of the Hodgepodge Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, folks.
Thanks for listening. Next week, we're going to be discussing our picks for, and I know I'm going to mess this up when I say it, the summer TV. Almost did it. I almost said movie.
Yeah, you did.
Summer TV wrap up.
Summer wrap up, fall preview,
and fall TV preview. Even though and it'll be good because a lot of the series have begun showing. I'm sure we'll be talking about a little bit of Breaking Bad.
We'll be talking a lot about Breaking Bad
and some other shows. I'm sure you want to talk about Big Brother, but we'll.
And it's an obsession, folks. Speaking of OCD.
Yeah, and we'll also be talking about some newer shows like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and some other stuff. We'll figure it out. We haven't made our list yet. But we'll see you next week, and thanks for listening.